I found out my wife was trying to destroy my family by accident. Not through a text, not through cheating, but through a conversation she thought I would never hear. And the worst part? I didn't stop her. I just watched as everything she built slowly collapsed on its own.
My name is Daniel. I'm 34, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had a pretty normal life. I live in a quiet suburb in Ohio. Nothing fancy, just a decent house, a stable job in logistics, and a family I believed I could trust. My parents are the kind of people everyone respects. My dad ran a small construction business for over 25 years, and my mom handled the finances. They weren't rich, but they built everything from the ground up. And me? I was supposed to take over the business someday. Then there's my wife, Emily. We met 6 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was confident, smart, and knew exactly how to carry herself. The kind of person who could walk into a room and instantly become the center of attention. I wasn't that kind of person, but somehow she chose me. At least, that's what I thought. We dated for 3 years, got married, and eventually moved into a house not too far from my parents. At first, everything seemed perfect. Emily got along with my family, especially my mom. Or at least, that's what it looked like. Over time, small things started to feel off. Nothing obvious, nothing I could point to and say, that's the problem. But there were moments, like how Emily would ask very specific questions about my parents' finances, or how she seemed unusually interested in the legal side of my dad's business. At first, I brushed it off. She's just trying to be involved, I told myself. But then she started pushing me. You should really think about getting your name on more things, she'd say casually. Your parents won't be around forever, Daniel. You need to secure your future. It didn't feel like concern. It felt like strategy. Still, I trusted her. She was my wife. And I had no idea that behind that calm, supportive smile, she was already setting something in motion that would tear everything apart. It started with something small. At least, that's what I thought at first. One evening, I came home earlier than you. My mom had called me asking if I could drop off some documents at their house. Nothing serious, just some old property papers my dad wanted organized. I didn't tell Emily I was going. Just grabbed the folder and drove over. When I reached my parents' house, I noticed Emily's car already parked outside. That was strange. She wasn't supposed to be there. I walked in quietly, thinking maybe she surprised my mom or came to help with dinner or something normal like that. But then I stopped. I heard her voice, not the soft, loving tone she used with me. This one was different, sharp, controlled, almost calculated. I'm just saying, you need to be careful, Emily said. There was a pause. Then my mother's voice replied, confused. Careful about what exactly? Emily sighed, like she was explaining something obvious. About Daniel, about how things are being handled. I just don't want him to be left out later. You know how families can get when money and property are involved. I froze. My hand tightened around the folder. My dad's voice came next, more serious now. Emily, are you trying to say something specific? Another pause. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. I'm saying it might be better if certain things are handled before it becomes a problem. Silence, heavy silence. I didn't move, I didn't breathe properly. I just stood there, listening to my wife slowly planting doubt inside my own family. And then she said the sentence I'll never forget. I just want to make sure Daniel doesn't make any decisions he might regret later, or that we all regret. At that moment, something clicked in my mind. This wasn't concern. This wasn't advice. This was influence. She wasn't just talking, she was building something, and I was the one she was slowly pushing out of my own family. After that day, I didn't confront her. I should have, but I didn't, because a part of me was still hoping I misunderstood what I heard. So I started paying attention instead, quietly, carefully. And what I noticed over the next few weeks made my chest feel heavier every single day. Emily started visiting my parents more often, even when I wasn't around. At first, it looked harmless. She would bring groceries, help my mom cook, sit with my dad while he worked on paperwork. To anyone else, she looked like the perfect daughter-in-law. But I started noticing patterns. Whenever I was present, she acted normal, sweet, supportive, even loving. But when I wasn't there, she changed. She would bring up planning ahead. She would ask questions like, what happens if something happens to Daniel's share of the property? Have you considered updating the business structure? Are all the documents legally protected? Every question sounded innocent on the surface, but together they formed a picture, a very specific one. And then something worse happened. My dad called me one night. His voice was tired, not angry, just confused. "Daniel," he said slowly, "your wife suggested we should move some things under Emily's name for safety reasons." I sat up immediately. "What?" He continued. "She said it would protect the family from future legal issues. She even offered to help us talk to her contact lawyer." That's when I felt it, that cold pressure in my chest, like something was tightening inside me. I asked him, "Did you agree to anything?" My dad paused. "No, but she's very convincing." Very convincing. That line stayed in my head long after the call ended, because I knew exactly what that meant. Emily wasn't rushing. She wasn't being obvious. She was slowly positioning herself inside my family's trust, like a shadow that grows bigger without anyone noticing until it's already covering everything. And the worst part? When I came home that night, she kissed me like nothing was wrong. "How was your day?" she asked softly. I looked at her, at the same woman who was smiling at me while quietly trying to rewrite my entire life behind my back, and I realized something important in that moment. She wasn't just creating distance between me and my family. She was making sure that when everything finally collapsed, I wouldn't even see it coming.
The turning point came on a Thursday, a completely normal day, until it wasn't. I had a meeting that morning, so I left home early. Emily was still in bed when I left. She kissed me goodbye like always, said she had some errands to run. Nothing unusual, or so I thought. Around noon, my mom called me. Her voice was shaking. "Daniel, can you come to the house right now?" Something in her tone made my stomach drop immediately. "What happened?" "It's about Emily. Just come." I didn't even ask questions. I drove straight there. When I arrived, I saw my dad's car, my mom pacing outside, and Emily's car parked right in front of the house. Inside, the atmosphere felt different, heavy, like something had already broken. Then I saw it. On the dining table, a stack of documents. Legal papers. My dad was sitting there, holding one of them, his hands slightly trembling. "Explain this," he said, looking at Emily. She was calm, too calm. "It's just a protective arrangement," she said softly, "for the family's future, nothing more." My mom stepped forward. "Emily, this is transferring part of the business assets into a trust under your management. Why would you do that without discussing it with Daniel?" Emily sighed, like she was dealing with something obvious. "Because Daniel gets emotional about these things. I didn't want him to stress. I was trying to help." That sentence. I was trying to help. It sounded so clean, so innocent, but I saw my dad's face change in that moment. Slow realization, like a puzzle piece finally clicking into place. "Daniel," he said, slowly, turning to me. "She tried to get us to sign this yesterday, too." My chest went cold. Emily finally looked at me, and for the first time, her expression wasn't soft. It was firm, controlled, almost irritated that things weren't going as planned. "You're making this bigger than it is. I was trying to protect this family." But my dad interrupted her. "No," he said quietly. "You were trying to control it." Silent. For the first time, the mask cracked, just slightly. Not enough for anyone else to notice, but enough for me, because I saw it. She wasn't surprised. She wasn't confused, calculating. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was execution. A slow, patient plan. And she had just made her first real mistake. Because now, my family's finally watching her closely.
That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was angry, but because everything finally made sense. For weeks, I thought I was reacting to confusion, small suspicion, strange conversation. But now I saw the full picture clearly. Emily wasn't just trying to help my family. She was building legal control step by step. And the worst part? She almost succeeded. Almost. I sat alone in the living room after she went to bed, staring at the same ceiling I used to feel safe under. But now it felt different, like a place I needed to escape from, not live in. I didn't confront her that night because I knew something she didn't. People like Emily don't stop when you argue with them. They stop when they lose control. So I decided something very important. I wasn't going to fight her loudly. I was going to let her continue. But now I was going to watch everything. The next morning, I called my dad. "I want you to do something," I said. He stayed silent for a moment. "What?" "Don't reject her anymore. Not directly." He sounded confused. Daniel, are you serious? After what she tried to do? Yes, I said calmly. Let her think she still has access. Let her think she's winning. My mom took the phone. Daniel, what are you planning? I paused because I knew how it sounded, and then I said it. Let her walk further into the trap she built for herself. There was silence on the other side. Finally, my dad spoke. Are you serious? You want to expose her? No, I replied. I want her to expose herself. That was the moment everything changed. We stopped arguing with her. We stopped resisting her suggestions openly. Instead, we did something much simpler. We let her talk. We let her propose ideas. We let her show confidence. And every time she tried to push something forward, we quietly documented it. Emails, conversations, meetings, suggestions about financial control. Everything. But the most important part? I acted normal at home. I smiled. I listened. I even thanked her sometimes, because she had no idea she was now living inside a system that was quietly being recorded. And for the first time since this all started, Emily wasn't controlling the situation anymore. She was being watched inside it. It all fell apart on a Monday morning. Emily woke up earlier than usual that day. She was nervous, but she tried to hide it. I could tell by the way she kept checking her phone every few minutes. She was waiting for something important. She kissed me before I left for work. Big day today? She said softly. I nodded. Yeah, I think so too. She didn't notice the way I said it, but I meant it differently. Because that morning, everything she had been building was about to collapse. At 10:14 a.m., my dad called a private meeting. Not with me, with her, at the family attorney's office. Emily thought it was another step forward, another document review, another progress meeting for the trust she had been pushing for weeks. So she went there confidently. She even wore a smile. But when she walked into the room, she stopped. My parents were there. The family lawyer was there, and I was there too. But something was different. There were no documents for her to sign. Instead, there was a folder. My dad placed it on the table. Emily, he said calmly, before we talk about anything else, we need to go through something. She smiled slightly. What is this? Another review? The lawyer opened the folder and started speaking, slowly, clearly. Every word felt heavier than the last. Email, conversation, recorded meetings, document requests, financial suggestion, patterns of manipulation, all organized, all time-stamped, all connected. Emily's smile slowly disappeared. This is taken out of context, she said quickly. No one responded. The lawyer continued reading, and with every line, her confidence started breaking down. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, piece by piece. When he finished, the room was silent. Emily looked at me. For the first time, she wasn't confident. She wasn't controlling. She looked uncertain. Daniel, you really believe this about me? I leaned back in my chair, and I finally spoke. No, I said. I don't believe it. She relaxed slightly. Then I finished the sentence. I know it. That was the moment everything changed. The lawyer slid another document forward. This is a formal separation of financial access and legal authority requests from the family estate, he said. Everything under review is now secured. Emily blinked. What? My dad finally looked at her. We stopped you before anything was transferred. Silent. She turned to me again, this time faster. This is insane. I was helping your family. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I felt nothing. Not anger anymore. Not sadness, just clarity. You weren't helping, I said quietly. You were positioning yourself. Her breathing changed, faster now. You set me up, she said. I didn't deny it, because I didn't have to. The truth was already in front of her. For the first time, Emily realized something terrifying. She wasn't in control of the situation anymore. She had walked too far without noticing the walls closing in, and now there was no way out.
It's been 3 months since everything happened. Emily is gone from my life now, legally, emotionally, completely. There was no big courtroom drama, no shouting matches, no final explosion like in movies, just silence and consequences. After that day at the attorney's office, everything moved quickly. My family cut off all her access. Every document she tried to push through was blocked. Every suggestion she made was officially recorded and reviewed.
And when she realized there was no more control left to grab, she left, just like that. I still remember the last time I saw her. She packed her things quietly. No crying, no apology, no explanation. Only one sentence before she walked out the door. I was trying to secure my future. I didn't respond right away. I just watched her. And then I said something I never thought I would say to my own wife. You were trying to take ours. She didn't answer after. She just left. Now, life feels different. Not loud, not dramatic, just peaceful. My parents are okay. Our family business is stable. The trust is safe. Everything she tried to shift never left our control. And me? I learned something I will never forget. Sometimes, revenge doesn't look like destruction. Sometimes, it looks like patience. Sometimes, it looks like silence. Because the truth is, I never attacked her. I never exposed her in anger. I just let her continue until she showed everyone exactly who she was. And in the end, that was enough. People like to think revenge is about doing something big, but sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply stepping aside and letting someone destroy themselves.